Feline managers. A short history on QVTV, 5.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a story that's, well, it's part history, part a lesson in management, and it's all about a group of, let's just say, very special cats. So let's start with a really big question, one that's kind of at the heart of every story ever told. Who actually gets to write history? You know, who decides which version of the past is the one we all remember as the truth? Now, I know what you're thinking. Cats? And yeah, it sounds a little out there, but you gotta stick with me on this, because this story, it really challenges everything we think we know about who gets to be a historian. Okay, first up, let's get introduced to QVTV 5. This is a professional broadcast network, but with a, let's say, a very unique point of view. So, QVTV 5 is really the heart of this whole thing. And its mission? Well, it's to document the entire 35-year history of a place. But here's the twist. It's told exclusively from the perspective of its non-human residents. And look, this isn't some small, quirky little side project. No way. The source material we have talks about a huge, serious archive. We're talking thousands of clips and photos all built up over decades, all to support this one-of-a-kind historical narrative. The sheer amount of stuff here, it tells you this was a deliberate, really long-term plan to save a very specific version of the past. But okay, to really start to get really wild. So, our story kicks off more than 35 years ago. You've got these two artistic partners who create this amazing, unique cultural hub down on the coast of Mexico. And for decades, as you can see here, this place, this quinta, was a total magnet for travelers, for students, for all kinds of eccentric characters. It was a genuine bohemian paradise. Okay, so this is where the story splits in two. What's so fascinating is this massive difference between what people saw and what was actually going on. To the public, right, it's just this quirky, cool little inn. But behind the scenes, the sources reveal a completely different reality. The whole operation was secretly being managed by a team of domesticated stray cats. And I want to be clear, the sources are super specific about this. These were not just a bunch of strays that wandered in for a free meal. No. They had apparently developed this complex social structure. They had routines, they kept everything in order. They were, for all intents and purposes, the real management team. I mean, just think about that for a second. That implies a level of strategy and cooperation that, well, you just don't expect from a group of stray cats.
But, you know, nothing lasts forever. Like any business that's been around for a while, things started to change. And this secret feline management team, they started running into some pretty serious problems.
It was really a perfect storm of things, you know? Some problems were internal, some were external, but they all started to pile up. As you can see, the human partners were aging, the building itself was starting to fall apart a bit, and hey, the whole world of travel was just different. That successful model that worked so well for decades, it just wasn't going to cut it anymore. But here's the crucial part. The feline leadership didn't just, bury their heads in the sand. The documentation we have suggests they saw the writing on the wall. They were totally aware of the decline, and they knew they had to do something drastic to survive. And that brings us to what has to be one of the weirdest, most incredible business pivots you will ever hear about. So get this. According to the records, this wasn't just some random idea. It was the result of a formal, honest-to-goodness meeting. A meeting between the feline council and one of the human partners, Chris. It was basically a negotiation between two species to decide the future of the world they'd built together. And you can see here, they had a process. This was a real strategic move. Step 1, figure out how bad things are. Step 2, get the leadership together. Step 3, hash out the future. And finally, step 4, propose the big pivot. And that pivot was to turn this fading in into what would become the QVTV 5 broadcast studio. So, this all brings us back to that big idea from the beginning. What does this totally bizarre, yet somehow meticulously documented story tell us about what history even is? And just think about the scale. 35 years. The network is documenting 35 years of life at this place. That is a serious historical record, no matter how you slice it. So, okay, the whole premise, it's definitely playful, right? It's whimsical. But the way this history is actually presented, that's meant to be taken seriously. It was all designed with a very specific goal in mind.
Which was to be utterly believable. For the most part. And that little phrase at the end, for the most part, that's everything. It's like a little wink to all of us, right? It acknowledges how absurd it all sounds, but at the same time, it insists that the story itself is powerful and real.
And so that leaves us with this final, kind of provocative thought to chew on. If a 35-year history can be completely reframed through the eyes of its non-human participants and still be totally compelling, what does that say about all the other histories we just accept as fact? What really makes one story the real one and another one something else entirely?
Hello, I hope you enjoyed the brief history of our broadcasting studio. Next up, we put together some clips from various scenes of our upcoming programming. The studio crew and I wanted to give you a glimpse into our first season, figuring that we could lure you back for more.
Welcome to QVTV 5, perfect viewing for felines and bipeds alike.
Okay, what are we? Oh,
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
I'm okay. Well, no, I'm not. I'm not okay. But I'll be okay. But no, I'm not okay. I.
I don't know who needs to hear this right now, but